Hey guys, thanks again for joining me. I'm Anne, and in this video I'm going to be giving a general love reading focusing on divine soul partners, and that includes all different types of soul connections, soulmates, twin flames, twin rays, karmic connections, and all love relationships that you're involved in. So I invite you to watch this video from beginning to end. I'm sure there's a message for you since you've landed here. Okay, so now that we are just into the full moon in Pisces, it's the harvest moon, and it's been creating a lot of, I have to say, intensity for everyone in many different areas. It's kind of exciting, and it's kind of like scary, and it's kind of like something is going on. You kind of like feel it building up. If you haven't been feeling it already, you're going to be feeling it, because it just raises up a lot of vibrations spiritually, because it is in Pisces. Pisces, everyone knows. If you don't know, it is probably the most psychic astrological sign of the zodiac. So when it comes into the moon, and especially now as we're slowly coming into autumn, the autumn season, and some of you are going into spring, but we're talking about autumn today. It kind of like brings back that feeling like, oh, an area of mystery is coming through, and it's one of my favorite seasons. I always talk about autumn, not because it's my birthday, because it's not purely because of that. My birthday is in October, but I do love like the energy that it brings. Okay, so I'm outside again. It's still kind of warm, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm on a little different of a camera phone. I'm using a Galaxy someone gave me, so I hope it sounds good. I hope the lighting is fine. It looks pretty good on my end, what I'm seeing. So anyways, let's see what happens. Like I told you before, new beginnings, sometimes things happen for a reason, and I'm not going to go into my camera equipment because that's been another story. Okay, so the first card that I pulled was grounding. Grounding for the divine masculine, as you could see. I don't know if I'm where the camera is at. I think it's in the corner. But anyways, it's grounding. So grounding ourselves for that new beginning, as I just mentioned. When the grounding effect happens, sometimes we don't always feel comfortable. Sometimes there's a lot of energy growing and developing with grounding, because we're trying to settle in. A lot of us are feeling, I'm not really grounded. I'm not really like where I should be at. Not because you're in a bad place, because clearly you're not. You're actually just adjusting, because we are slowly winding down. September is a time of wind down. I call it like wind down, kind of like pull the shades down, slowly start to get into that mode where you're relaxing. And that's what you should be doing, because grounding is a time for release, and that's where divine masculine is starting to feel a little bit more like an energetic feeling, like, okay, they have something to look forward to, but first they need to wind down a little bit. It's a time for healing, and this is a very beautiful card as well. I love both of these decks. A time for healing, you know why? Because we've been seeing a lot of areas where we've been going through with divine masculines. They seem to be like here and there and everywhere, and they seem like they don't know where they're going, but though they do know that there's a purpose, there is a divine purpose for why they're going through all of this. They're starting to understand things. So as things start to shift, not lower, I'm not saying the vibration is going lower, because it's clearly not, but it's kind of like, you take back and you sit back in that chair or that comfy place where you like to go, and you say, this is where I need to be. Let me just take a breather. It's kind of like that's what divine masculine is starting to get and starting to feel. A breather. A breather is the best way I can put it, because it goes on over and over where they're asking themselves, am I doing the right thing? Should I be focusing on something? It gets crazy, because over the last 3 months, I want to say like a bulk of time, the summer, let's say the summer months or winter, we've been seeing a lot of detachment from their inner self. And that's where we all feel a little bit like uneasy, uncomfortable. I explained that last month with the uncomfortable feelings that they get, and they get to the point where they just don't feel like themselves. Not because it's a bad thing, like that's like these things, guys, happen. for a divine purpose, actually to help us get stronger, to help us find our way in life. Because when there's no hope, when there is no guidance, when there is nothing, it's just totally stagnant. That's where some people go, and that's where they like to stay. When they do this, they end up failing to see that they're not going along with the flow. They're not evolving. That's why sometimes we have to get a little uncomfortable. We have to see it. We have to figure it out and say, wow, if I didn't change it up a bit, I wouldn't have made my life like that much easier, or things didn't happen, like the way I planned, but wow, it is like way, way better. And I'm so glad that it did happen that way, because I got to do something, or I got to see something, or I got to be somewhere that I wanted to be. That automatically takes them right to their authentic self. Authentic self, their truth, authentic truth. And that's a big thing here. Very beautiful card. It's a time when they see the light. And you know what? I mean, we all see the light. We all can feel the light. We all hear the light. We all know the light. The light lives like right here inside of us. But we don't always listen to it. It's because ego takes over. And with Divine Masculine, big thing that they tend to lean towards. We see a lot of ego-based energy with failing to see the authentic truth. And life just goes on and on and on, and they just feel like nothing is ever going to change, nothing is ever going to happen, because they're not seeing their authentic truth. The authentic truth is a time when you have faith in your dreams. Wow, that makes total sense. Like I shuffled these cards earlier, and they come out randomly, as you guys know. And if you all know how cards work, and they come in randomly, but they match up. I mean, have faith in your dreams, not believe, not trust, but have faith. Faith is as in I believe it because I know it, and it's faith. Faith is a big factor in everything that you do. Because if you don't have faith in a person, if you don't have faith in a place where you're going, if you don't have faith in your GPS where you're driving to, you're never going to find what you're looking for. Okay? Because having faith in your dreams, I believe, I know something's going to happen, but do you really have faith? You have to ask yourself that. It's a time when grounding takes an effect, like we were talking about just now. And you know what? That grounding effect will open up a new door, a new place, a new sense of realization. Like I said, we're coming now to a new season. Many of you are excited for spring. I love spring too. Spring is a wonderful time. But it's also a time when, because we're going into autumn, it's kind of like, oh, what's behind autumn? A lot of people cringe when I talk about, because I love autumn, because they don't want to hear about winter. I love winter too. There's some perks about winter, really. I know us up in Cleveland, we don't get that nice warm weather like some people do down south, but there's still some things that we can do for ourselves. It's all about working on yourself too, guys, because just like nature, I'm going to use nature. Our 4 seasons, up north that is, I'm talking about north, I'm not talking about you guys up down south that gets the nice warm weather, or back west that really gets the nice weather, wherever you're at, okay? These 4 seasons have to take an effect because it's time for us to balance. Time to hibernate, so to speak. Not hibernate like the trees, but, wind down, reflect. It's a time now that we're starting to get like that beautiful, calming feeling. And you know what? It feels good when it happens to us and we see the changes, because the changes that happen are actually there to get us stronger, to get us in a higher level. If we don't see them, we're never going to get there. You could have a beautiful, fantastic winter, but you could have a miserable summer. So what's the difference on the weather, right? It's not about the climate. It is what it isn't. It's what you project inside. Because if you're always feeling doom and gloom about your love situation, and we're talking about love here because in order to find love and in order for us to get all that that down path in our lives, to find the inner love that we want. If you're with your divine partner, or if you're not, or if you're separated, however your situation is, it's a time to work on yourself. So it's all about working on you, working on yourself, because a lot of people's been asking me. I give the readings, they understand, you know, how it works, but what's the prescription, so to speak? You know, the prescription is work on yourself, work on you, because you're never going to get there. You're never going to find it. And it's not because, you know, like that person is getting together with their divine partner and you're not. Why are everybody coming together? I mean, there's lots of things out there that we hear and we can get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. Get motivated, because if you know somebody is going through something and you see, wow, they found love, or they found happiness, or they hit the lottery. They found that new job. They got that promotion. They found that beautiful house that they've been looking for. You know, it's not materialistic. I'm just talking about, you know, basic life, guys. When you find that true happiness, be happy for that person, because that happiness rubs off on you. Seriously. Like, count your blessings. You know, even if your blessings are not what you want them to be, I mean, you have higher perspectives, you want more, and that's beautiful. Dream, believe, have faith in your dreams, because they will happen if you really believe, if you really put the faith. Or it's going to happen in a way where you're not expecting it, because things happen sometimes unexpectedly. It's all about what you take inside, okay? Divine feminines, you two are going through a lot as well, healing. So we're seeing a lot of energetic shifts, changes here, which is, I don't find a bad thing at all, because I find when we see shifts, we actually can find that light coming through, because it's happening. You know, you ever see water, and when it's like in a pool and it's just spinning, it's good because it's circulating. You know, it's a good thing. But when the water just sits, and I see a place in my park that I go to that the water just sits and it collects bacteria, there's mosquitoes and stuff, and I don't go near there because I know that it's not circulating. It takes a good like rain or something to push it off, and like, oh, that's terrible, and it turns all different colors. My point is that these shifts are a good thing. We're having some serious shifts happening, and it's a time for healing, and also a time for action for you divine feminines. When you're taking action upon yourself and you're doing something about it, not feeling, I'm not saying sorry for yourself or having self-pity, because I mean, sometimes we tend to do that because it's just, you know, it's an emotion, and that there's nothing wrong with feeling bad for yourself. But when you let it linger on, it kind of like invites other feelings, negativity, doubt, some stuff opening up some old wounds. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. It's not a good thing to keep looking at the glass half empty. Yeah, it's a good time to cry. It's a good time to just release. I'm a Scorpio, guys. I get emotional too, and you know, I feel, and you know, I'm very, very, very sensitive. I can watch a movie and it can just make my eyes bawl in tears, and I could be like that for a couple of days. It's just like I have to ground myself and heal. But I have to take action, because there's a reason why I got like that. And I'm not saying that movies always make me do this, but I'm just giving you an example that we get emotional, you know, and everything that happens, it happens for our highest good. I love when I see the rainbow at the end of whatever I'm going through, the storm. You know, I go through storms, and I'm not talking about the physical storms. We had a lot of share of storms, bad storms, but you know what? They clear up. And that's why God gives us the rainbow, to show us that life goes on, things go on, moving forward, moving forward. You may be feeling like higher sensitivity, and being sensitive to a lot of things can trigger off. Divine feminines, you may be feeling this. You may be feeling like a sense of, this person, why are they doing this to me? Why is my partner or the person that I'm focused on not getting it? They're not seeing me, or they're hurting my feelings all the time. They're saying things continuously and disrupting what we have together. That's only for the fact because sometimes we allow it. Don't be afraid of people. Don't get intimidated. There's a lot of people, you know, and I've had this discussion with a lot of others, and, you know, I too have experienced it, I have to be honest, where at this very start we believe what they say, and they're very, very, very positive. They seem to know what they're talking about. But then it comes to a time when this person starts to become egotistic. And you know what? They tend to lose what they taught us or what they've given us, because they've taken so much ego, they fail to look at their own true gifts and what they've given us. You know, and in return, we tend to get intimidated. Like, I want to ask a question, or I want to like slip away from this because I'm just not feeling it for whatever reason. That's because you're intimidated, and never let that happen, because that sensitivity inside of you is always going to feel like that from everybody. And that could go with a relationship as well. Maybe this relationship you're involved in, you feel strong towards that person, you have a connection with that person, but they're not hearing you, and they're kind of like dominate every word because of ego. Maybe it's a time to just take a step back, find your priorities and boundaries and what you need, and you know, just take a break. I mean, I can't tell nobody what to do in any reading. You know, as I mentioned before, these are all messages coming from the divine, given to me, to you, okay? And I use the cards only as messages to interpret them. And in a sense, I do get the messages from the cards. I do read them. But I'm also getting them spiritually and energetically, and I'm hearing them. It's like a radio station when you're tuning it in. Oh, I'm getting in good range, and then you get it. Oh yeah, I got it. But then what do you do when you're hearing like 3-4 different stations come in? You have to tune in. So that's kind of like what I do when I give readings, and I'm very sensitive. So I can do this out in the open. I can do this out in the public. I'm good at it because I know how to tune out. Like, you hear a lot of background noise. As many of you hear, I always have noise in the background. I grew up in a city, so I'm kind of like a city girl, you know. I can have it both ways. So anyways, sensitivity, guys, is really important to just tune it down, you know, in a sense. Don't let other people, I'm not saying boss you, because we do our own thing, and we know what we need in our life. But don't let them intimidate you to the point where you're not working on yourself the way you should. And maybe that person that you're involved in, you know, it could be you have to just take a step back, because maybe that person isn't the right person. Maybe you're not seeing it. Maybe this person is not, no one is toxic, because sometimes we think that a person is toxic and we go on and say, oh, that person was so wrong. Then we get back together and what happened? That person I thought was toxic. No, the energy at the time just wasn't the right time. It's kind of like, I love to come outside, but if it's a raining storm, I can't come outside, so I have to wait. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe it's time to just chill out, you know, say like, let's like maybe not fade away, but kind of like just do your own thing for a little while. Another thing, don't let your past hold you back. And you know what? It's really important that you don't. You're sensitive. These two cards match up very well. I like this one is kind of like landscape, one is kind of like vertigo, or portrait, I should say. And it's a beautiful, beautiful two cards together. Sensitivity. Don't let your past hold you back. Like I said, something you need to say, something needs to be brought out. It's a time to just share that. It could be a family member. I'm getting a message that somebody needs to address a certain situation correctly because they're not doing it the way they should. Something is happening here. So it's part of your healing, and it's a time to take action. Another thing, maybe that is what I'm trying to say, is that you're healing, and the only way you can heal, or maybe I should do it that way. I don't know which one is left and right. So you guys, there we go. Okay. It's a time to take action, and when I mean action, I don't mean raise your temper or put out too much of energy to that person. But you know what? It's a good time to just say, guess what? we need to have a discussion. Maybe it's with your kids. Seriously. Sometimes your kids need to hear what you have to say. Although you're a beautiful, wonderful parent, you're amazing to your children. I'm not saying you're not. But sometimes we allow them to do things and then do things. And then before you know it, they're telling us how to do things. Does it sound familiar? Anyways, either way, whoever this person is, you need to just stop doing that. You have to stop letting yourself get hurt in the meantime, because the sensitivity is what's holding you back. And sensitivity lives inside of all of us, especially if you're empathic, especially if you're able to absorb energies from people, from things. I know I am, and you may be too, and we talk about this all the time. The empathic energies sometimes can overwhelm us, but also it's a good time to meditate outdoors, and I'm doing that all the time, because as much as I can get out, it's a time to just, if it's cold or if it's hot, whatever, do it. Hug a tree and release it. Because when we go in trees, when we go near trees, we let go of that energy and we surrender. We say, I surrender my soul center to you, to God. And you know what? Because we cannot do nothing without God. And I'm not here to preach religion, but I just have to say it. It is all combined with the universe. And whatever that is, whatever it may be, you know what to do. Your intuition, your own gut, your spirit guides is going to tell you that. Okay? So I hope that this reading resonated with you. There were a lot of things that came up for me as well. I just find it incredible when I'm giving out these readings. I'm not looking for a message, not looking for anything particular to say or to talk about, but it just brings out something that I feel that is necessary for everybody to hear. And then I get something out of it. So I think that's beautiful. I think that's incredible that we get that through these reading videos. So if it didn't resonate with you, I invite you to come back and rewatch this reading video or take notes. Sometimes it's good to take notes. I take notes on my own. It's always good to journal things, and I hope you have your journals ready. I haven't been doing as much as I'd like to, but I'm going to start, because that's my new intentions that I started out to do recently, and I'm trying my best to keep everything as much as I can, but things get a little hectic. So far things are starting to ground, like we talked about, grounding, settling in, embracing what's to come. Okay, so I just want to say thank you to all of those who subscribe to me and have been sharing your love. I love you guys with all my heart. Thank you. So until next time, God be with you all. Namaste.